So, in last class, we saw about shots, frames, persistence of vision. So, how our brain perceives whatever is in between the two pictures we see and how it imagines that. So, these are some of the things that we saw in the last class. We also saw how multiple shots together make a single scene. So, this is what we had seen in our previous class. So we know a scene is usually a lot of shots that are taken in the same location. So this is where we stopped, right? So welcome to Film Studies and Introduction with me, Divakar. So how do we make these shots? How do we make these shots? Uh, how do people make these shots, right? So there is a director who usually visualizes the project. So after he or she visualizes the project, they make something called as a scene breakdown or a shot breakdown. So what they will do, they will put what happens scene by scene or shot by shot, and that's called as a scene breakdown or a shot breakdown. So in one scene, everything that happens in a particular location. So say for example, two people are conversing about an important life decision in a cafeteria table, right? And they are drinking something. Probably one person is drinking coffee, other person is drinking tea, right? Say this is the scene. But so the scene is going to have multiple shots. So one shot is going to be from top angle, other shot is going to be from mid angle, one shot is going to be a wide shot, other shot is going to be a close up of what they are drinking, like this. Each shot is going to have multiple things. So at the end, there is just one conversation of what they are talking about. So that's it. But this conversation has multiple shots stitched together. So, say for example, you take a normal advertisement of 60 seconds. So, if you take a 60 seconds ad and count the number of shots in it, so roughly there will be from a normal ad will be from 40 to even 60 sometimes. So that many number of shots are going to be there in a small 60 seconds ad. So if you are going to have a conversation like this, probably if it's a 2 minute conversation, probably if it's a 2 minute conversation, how many shots would you need to convey this, right? So you can do as an exercise, what you can do as an exercise is take any particular advertisement. So you can go to YouTube and take any particular ad from YouTube. And I want you to count the number of shots that a particular ad is made of. So if it's 60 seconds ad, count how many shots there are. Count the number of shots in the particular ad. That will give you an idea of how editing happens. That will give you an idea of how editing happens. So then what is editing? So what is editing? Editing is stitching all these shots, stitching all these shots into one video into one video is called as editing. So what do we do in editing? In advertisement editing, you just make all the shots into one advertisement. In a film, you just take hundreds of thousands of shots that you have taken, and then you compile it into one film of 1 or 20 minutes, or 2 or 30 minutes, like that. So editing is gathering all the videos and placing it in such a manner that it makes sense and it conveys a message to you. So that is editing. So editing plays the part of bringing all these different shots, bringing all these different shots into one huge story. That is the role of editing. All these different shots are made into one continuous video, and it conveys a meaning. Even though these shots are shot at, say for example, the 2 minute shot we were talking about. So the 2 minute shot where two people are having a conversation, right? So this particular 2 minute shot probably will take us 2 to 3 hours to shoot. So probably there are 15 to 40 shots, and all these are put together and made to feel like a single continuous thing that happened in a single continuous place. So that is what editing does to us. So editing creates the magic of bringing all these different things into one particular video. That is the role of editing. So we spoke about shots. We spoke about how a scene is made up of different shots, and how editing brings all these shots together. So what is missing? So the thing that's missing is the sound. So sound plays an important role in the film. So what role does the sound play? So sound plays multiple roles. For example, there is music, there is dialogue, uh, there is background music or ambient sound, right? So there is ambient sound, which is like gives us the surrounding. So if you are in a school, probably you will hear bells, children crying, children playing, all these sound. So ambient sound, dialogue, music, and so many other sound effects, SFX, sound effects. So what are the different sound effects? Like say for example, a person is riding a horse. So a person is riding a horse, then what happens? You hear the sound of the horse. So that is created in SFX, right? Generally we call them as Foley artists. So like this sound has multiple uh, areas in which it's expressed, like music, dialogues, ambient sound, SFX, uh, and so many other regions. But mainly, what does sound do? So sound helps to create a mood. Sound has or gives you the feel of continuity. So without sound, probably if you see a movie, it gives you a completely different experience than to see the movie with sound. So generally, you would have heard, if you are ever seeing a horror movie or anything of that sorts. So if you mute it, you will not feel the fear, right? So Why do they say that? Because sound has an important part uh, in creating the world that we see in a movie. So we might say film is a visual language. Of course, film is a visual language, but like, say for example, you take movie Interstellar, right? So there is a scene where the spaceship docks with the space station, right? So the spaceship has to dock with the space station. So you can see Hans Zimmer, how his music plays a really important role in bringing that scene to life. So the soul of that scene is the BGM that the person Hans Zimmer has created for that particular scene. Like this, sound has multiple roles to play in a film. So along with music, it also creates the environment. So how do we feel like we are in a market when the person is walking through the market? Say the hero or the heroine, some other character is walking through a market in the film. So how do we feel like they are walking in the market? Of course, we see the market, but also along with that, we have a lot of ambient sound. So ambient sound are the surround sound that happens in the market. So that gives us the feeling of market, right? So when we speak about sound, generally it's divided into two things. So it's divided into diegetic and non-diegetic sound. So what is diegetic sound? Anything that is seen in the screen is called diegetic sound, and anything that is not seen in the screen is called non-diegetic. So what do you mean by seen in the screen? So say for example, a train is coming. So you are seeing a train is coming in full speed, right? So there are tracks and the train is coming. So if you hear the sound of the train, that is diegetic. On the other hand, so a person is just standing and then you hear he's singing something and you hear a lot of music, you hear violin or keyboard, but you don't see those things on the screen. So they are called as non-diegetic sound. So whatever you see on the screen and its sound you are hearing is called diegetic. So dialogues are usually diegetic or SFX. So horse is running, that is diegetic. On the other hand, non-diegetic sounds are background musics or jump scare. You hear music for that. So those things are called as non-diegetic. You don't see them in the screen, right? So this is the end of lesson